Yeah, good day, dear students. My name is Abdikabir Akinlabi. So we are in CSS now. The way I used to take people is a matter of knowing where you are going and also trying to ask you where you are coming from. You see, most of the developers that drop software development, what I noticed they faced is their inability to practice, their inability to know where they are going. So now, before I start CSS, let me tell you where you are going, because in the next 3 days, what we are going to be using as a sample is a website that you don't need to write all the CSS by yourself. But imagine someone who does not understand Igbo language or Yoruba language, and he wants to edit someone's project in Igbo or Yoruba language. He can't do that because he does not understand the basics of that language. So what you just need to know is the basics, which I'm going to explain today. Then before going, let me show you this. Look at this website. Let me load it. This is what's part of what I'm going to use as an example for you. You can see something just immediately I load this website, something transform. You can see all this transformation. So all these are CSS. As I move on, you can see the way something is here, curve like this. You can see the movement of my mouse. You can see something curve here. They are CSS properties. You can see look at this. You know that this hire me you are seeing here is actually a link. You know that, which the basic this thing that will be under here, the HTML that is under here is anchor tag. So what's the remaining one that you can see the way this thing transform? They are all CSS. You can see the round color, and when I roll over my mouse, you can see the something turns white. They are CSS. Now look at these things that are moving here. When I roll my mouse on it, you can see it's actually moving. So you will see that in the next 1 week you will be able to do this using some systems I use in teaching people. So the reason why I'm showing you this is for you to know where you are going. So look at when I roll over my mouse here, it turns red. So all these things are all CSS properties. Look at about this Kennedy. You can see about myself. Look at something like this. It's also HR tag, but something defines it to have this kind of thing. So sometimes CSS depends on your own creativity also. But how will you be creative without knowing those properties? So there are thousands of properties that you need to learn. So let me move on. You can see this. When I roll over my mouse here, you can see more information. While this one was initially white, this one was initially red, but when I roll over my mouse, it turns white. So you will be surprised that in next 1 week you do something like this. I promise each and every one of you. The test you did, I recorded 90% perfect work. So I think is something commendable. So those of us that have not turned in their own, they should try and turn in. Look at this also. You can see all these background images and the rest. They are all CSS properties. So you can see something like this. These are div tags. Div. This one is floating to the left, while this one is floating to the right. So you can see this another div here, something here. These are what we are going to discuss. So the reason why I'm showing you this is so that you know where we are going. You can see something like this. So this is a portfolio website. It's a sample of a sample portfolio website. You can see something moving here. So this is where we are going. So now let me go straight to the point. Now the way we used to do it is let me notepad. I think I use what was I using? I think I use brackets to do my this thing. So what I'm going to discuss with you is just the syntax, the different properties, and then we now discuss the what's it called, the way you are going to get the properties with you. That's in the material. Let me tell you, this is going to be the last some things that will be material based. The rest of it, especially when we get to PHP, in order for us to use certain things, will not material will not actually help, but the lesson itself and your own personal interest to do research. So let me start here. Let me use this file for my CSS. Remember that during our training of basic CSS, let me, for instance, if you want to, let me first save. I'm saving this inside. Should I save it on my desktop? Also, I'll call it style style.css. You remember that when you want to style something, you style it with CSS, style.css. So it's going to be there. So now I want to my h1. Now let me first of all introduce what I want to discuss. For instance, I want to discuss anything that is related to background. Anything related to background. So the properties are background color, background image, background repeat, background attachment, background position. We also have different properties that are related to borders. We have different properties that are related to tables. We have different properties that are related to, in fact, think of anything inside this that I'm explaining. Look at this is a link. You have different CSS properties for them, which you are going to meet most of them inside the other W3 school materials, but not that of HTML, but the one of CSS. Now let me continue. Now I want to style each one. Don't forget, the most important thing is syntax, which I always preach. So when you want to style anything, remember that we used to style like this. If you want to style h1, if you want to style a paragraph tag, you are styling it here. If you want to style the body, you are styling, sorry, style the body. This is the most important thing. Don't forget this thing. Let's assume you want to have a div tag also. You are going to style the div tag here. So I hope we are all getting. So for instance, look at this div tag. Any div tag we want to use, we want the background. I told you that we have different properties for background. Background color, you can see background color. Don't forget the syntax. The background color, let me put it a light blue. Are you getting it? You terminate. Background color is going to be light blue. The paragraph of this one, maybe the background color, you can see background color is, let me give it yellow. Those of you that have gone through the W3 school, you see that there are different ways of writing color. It's not necessary you write color like this. You can use hexadecimal coloring system, whereby you write different colors, something like this. So but for now, let me use yellow or yellow green. So now these are background related syntax. So also we also have background image, whereby you have image. I think that one, let me, on my body, let me use background image. That background image, the what it used to take, by the time you get the material, you understand every different properties. I'm very sorry, that CSS property will require that you spend almost 2 days to study different properties of CSS. So you're going to spend it, because by the time I start doing this, showing you what is at the back of all these things, you will get it. That okay, these are what the master is saying. So these are the different div. This is a div. So don't worry, by the time we get to that. So we are talking about background image. If you want to do background image, it used to, if you can bear with, it used to follow this URL. The URL of that image, you provide it here, then you terminate. So that's background image. We also have background repeat, whereby if you want the background to repeat, by the time you get the material, but I just want to give you the introduction to that CSS. Most of all those things, I personally, I memorize them those days. But by the time you have something templates to follow, if you want to change anything, let's assume that, for instance, this website, the owner of the website asks me, okay, the entire website looks blue and something red. I want it to be greenish. So what you just need to do is to locate the CSS property. If you notice this, if this thing is h3 tag, then this thing is going to be a particular ID. They use a particular ID for this developer and this designer, maybe probably span. they span this designer, they span this developer and give it a particular CSS. You just go there and exchange all the colors, just find and replace with another color, then it automatically replace it. So now, as I was saying, look at, you can see that I'm writing my CSS inside one place. Those of you that have followed HTML, you will know that this is known as external styling, because I've not started my HTML. You can see here I just have a h1 tag, paragraph tag, body tag, div tag also. Then there is something known as shorthand property. Shorthand property is, take for instance, you want to style a body. You want to style this body, for instance. Although you are going to get it inside the material. So instead of saying background image, saying background color, giving it a value, saying background sorry, I didn't terminate it here. Background we also have background position. You can see there's where it's going to put the background. We also have background, in fact all the properties we have. Background repeat, so we have no repeat, we have repeat x, and we have repeat y. If you check the material, you're going to see all those things. Background repeat, no repeat. So also we have background position. Okay, I've said that. So we have background attachment. That background attachment, sometimes, I don't know if you notice some websites whereby you scroll and the background will be scrolling with it. So that's background attachment. And you have the one that scroll, the one that is fixed. So all these things they are all CSS properties. So in shorthand properties, you will just say something like this: background. So when you say the background, the first thing that comes is the color. You can just say yellow. The image, the URL of the background. So that means that instead of you saying background image, background color, you can just put everything here. So you are going to meet it inside that CSS material. Please don't let us feel fatigued or let us get tired with all these things. We are going to see the results of all those things by the time we start using this as an example. I'm going to use this in the next, because after getting you the materials, you are going to, for those people that study very hard, they are going to find it very, very easy. Very, very easy, because developing something like this, I have several of them here. I think I have several of them in my this thing. Take for instance, look at this, the one for Jackson. So you can see that it's another way, it's another style. So where you have different coloring, all these things, they are all CSS. We are going to explain after getting you the materials. So this material will take you like 2 days for you to go through it, but nevertheless, I'm still going to explain all these things, because I don't believe in reading, I believe in practical. So but the practical, something that you've already gotten the syntax. So what essence is me trying to spoon feed instead of asking you to do something you are supposed to be doing. So after this, we are going to discuss another class for CSS. Then you are going to get the materials, read different properties, so that by the time I start explaining all this, you will know that this is the property of this. Look at this, something that collapses. They are all these things are collapsing CSS. Look at, they all have this thing. Let me show you the glimpse of the material, the CSS material. Look at this. You can have in fact, you have this, I think this CSS3. You have something like this if you want to provide a rounded corner. We have box model. Then also I have 3D, to the extent of having 3D transformation, something like this. So you can see, I know some of you have seen all these things in your, what's it called, on different websites. So that's not our center of operation. What we want to do is just for you to get what you are meant to get. So now I have div tag here, I have paragraph tag here, I have h1 tag here. Now let me save it. Go and do your HTML, normal HTML. I think this one, because you've let me save it on desktop also. I'm going to clean it later. My html.html, this thing is not new to you again. So now HTML, close my HTML. So all those heading what was there, body, you can see no need of styling body because you've already styled it. Now inside my head, don't forget that if you want to do external styling, you have something like you link to the external styling link with relationship. If you don't know this, you go back to the beginners course that we've done. You have style sheets. This is what I used to tell people, that if you notice that as lesson progresses you are missing certain things. For instance, if I'm doing this and you are not understanding this, then that means you need to go back. Style sheet, we talk about type, which is not that very important. You have text / CSS. This is not, if you don't put this, it will work. Then href also, that's a link to that CSS file. I think I save it with style.css. So that's it. So you have linked to that CSS. Now inside my body, inside this body, let me have h1 tag. This is my h1. This is my h1 tag. It will take the position of, so before I want to put this h1 tag itself inside a div tag. Remember, a div tag is like something that is housing something. If you don't have div, let's assume that all this text are all inside the div tag. These texts are inside the div tag separately. So also let me have a paragraph tag. Also, this paragraph tag will also take the CSS of the paragraph. So these are just samples. Let me go and check it. I think I save it with my HTML. Okay, this is it, my HTML. Okay, something is, you can see it doesn't take any CSS. So that means it's either we are making mistake. I like this type of errors, so that we know where we are making mistakes. If I should check now, is either link, relationship, style. Okay, style sheet, you can see there is no S here. That's one. Style sheets, then style.css. I want to check if I have saved it with style.css. I want to confirm that. So style.css. So you can see now, who can tell me what actually caused that problem? Is this S, single S. So now it has taken the background color of this, which is green, the paragraph tag. Now let me my mind is telling me that you are going to see all the background, this thing that I've used. So I don't want you to just look at it on the matter of maybe material base. No, it's just for you to go and learn the syntax. Look at this, a property, the value. In fact, by the time you get to syntax, it's going to tell you the selector, which is the HTML element, the property, the value, terminate, property, value, terminate. So you know this, the material has arranged it in such a way that you have different properties in different aspect of CSS. For instance, if you have different words in English, they call it registers. Different words in telecommunication, different words in football, in sports. So we have different CSS of borders. You can see different borders. I think I have fixed, I memorized those things those days. So now I don't have issues again because I don't need to use them again. So because there are different editors that will just be showing you the available CSS. Like you notice while I was typing my CSS here, for instance, if I say background, So there are several editors that will be telling you that these are the things you need to do, but I like to start with something difficult because before exposing you something very easier. So it's always like that. But if you don't practice what is difficult, it will be very difficult for you to know what is easy. So now you can see different things that is related to margin. So you can see different padding. If you don't remember padding, that means you have to go back to lesson 4 or 5, something like that. So padding is the space between the border. You can see these are padding from here to here. Padding. You are going to see different things. I was discussing link the other time. You can see the color of the anchor tag, then the one that if you have hover on it, how is this going to be? If you are the active link, let me show you what active link is. Now this is the active link now, the one that is red. If I should click on about us and portfolio, you can see this is the active link. So that's the reason. So this is the CSS that's actually doing that, the active link, the color of the active link. You're going to see everything inside this thing. So we have also CSS that are related to table. Someone was asking me the other time that I want to do something that two different div tag that are one by the left that are beside themselves. So you see all those things when you get to float. Yes, float here. If you want something to float, right, left, and the rest. So you see all those things, clear property. You are going to see all those things and try and always to use this, try it yourself to see what is actually going on. Because with this CSS, we are moving to the real website, the website that you can sell for a particular school. I'm going to design a website for school in the next 3 weeks because our major, I told you that it's going to be practical based. So we are going to design a website for school. Let's design a website for a law firm, and let's design a website for I don't know, someone should just bring an opinion, then we are going to do the website. You see that you can do the website within 2 days. So now we also have different display properties that you have. So you are going to see inside the material also some kind of alignment. So what I just want to do is that I want you to try and practice something like this, or just do something like this, that okay, let me do something for, okay, this is what I just did. Let me check my HTML. So the background color is this. The paragraph tag will also take the CSS property. You can see this is CSS property. Now let's assume that this h1 tag, I want to test some people. Let's assume that you just decide that this h1 tag, just like we have it here, I think I have something like this. Is it up? Okay, designer. So now let's assume that this h1, I want the color to be different. So that means there is a need for you to span. If you've not gone through the material, you need to go through it. So now in my HTML, what am I doing? H1 tag, you can decide to span this h1 tag. So what will happen? You see color is red. So sorry, let me check. Span, let me try text color or font color, something like that. I don't know, let me check. Okay, what will h1 tag? I'm trying to see where the error is coming from. Let me do something here, color, before knowing what is actually going on. So something is actually wrong somewhere. Color red, h1. Okay, don't forget we are doing external styling. So let me check. The time I used to record this thing is taking so long because of the upload. So normally I suppose style this something here. Also let me tell you that you can decide to also do you can decide to do, you remember ID and classes. Let's take for instance I want some kind of h1. Sorry, I'm going to attend to that one later, But I remember an important something here. Let's assume I want to have h1 that is going to be fail, h1 id fail. So h1 id fail, the background color is going to be red. H1, any h1 with id of fail. If you don't understand this syntax, that means you go back to our previous lessons. So now if I should have h1 here inside this div tag, h1, okay, h1, this will have red background. Now what will happen? You do id equals to fail. So what will happen? You can see. So that means that you can also, this is the selector. Where is the selector? Here in my style.css. This is the selector. You can do the same thing for classes. Maybe id dot fail, id dot pass. Anyone who is using this fail is going to be with this background color red, and the fonts, you have different CSS properties. Please, I would like you to go through this video and see what any challenges. If you believe you are good to go with the material, because the material, what the material exposed you to, let me just tell you the simple thing is, it's exposed you to the selector, which is body. For instance, in this position, the property, which these are the properties and different values that you have. So that's what the material is going to expose you to. So I'm going to have another training for tomorrow to do some fixed some selected properties, values, and the rest, especially when it comes to some individual syntax that we have in CSS. So after that, we are going to give you the material, that's W3 School CSS. We are giving you this material because we don't want you to waste your data to be accessing it from the internet. But after this, our work are going to be practically based. These are the reason why I'm giving you material here is because so that it can expose you to different properties. So we will not subsequently, our training is going to be something that's going to be imagination, that's going to be coming from imagination. You imagine certain things, let us do it. You imagine certain projects, let us try and solve it, so that we all learn together. So thank you very much for viewing this. This is just a form of introduction and a form of a spirit raiser for you to know what CSS is all about. I told you in the post I posted in the stream in the classroom, I said think of a makeup artist, then think of CSS. Think of a makeup artist, you think of CSS. A makeup artist who wants to paint the face should know that certain things, the mascara is going to be a little bit this in around this side, the eyelash is going to be like this. If not, it's going to paint the something very bad. So thank you very much for viewing, and see you in the next lesson.